I came out the womb DJing, grabbing my father's records because my father was the DJ in the family. So my parents are from Belize, right? And they both had a wide range of music that they both, love and dear to their heart. Plus the brother, her brother. So when my dad was around 14 or 15, his aunt had the first syndicated radio show in Belize ever. So this was like 56. So my dad used to provide the music for her show. So that was 14, 15. He was. Years later, come to America, married my mom, and had me. I was born on Division and Hoyne in an apartment where St. Mary Elizabeth is now. I was born not too far away from Clemente. So the music thing resonated, through osmosis through my dad, and, being from Belize and the music thing being part of the whole party culture, and that's just as much Chicago as anybody. I gravitated toward that, and because of that, I got into music lessons at like 6, 7 years old, playing guitar and then playing piano. And I know I'm just kind of telling you the story, but DJing was the thread through the whole thing. So I had always been DJing through my whole life. And the only difference between then and by the time I turned 12 was Hot Mix 5. So when you call it that aspect of DJing, yeah, 11, 12 years old, but the DJ, the music thing, the vinyl thing had been through. I'll say that the first person who inspired me to DJ in the style of the Hot Mix 5 was Ralphie Rosario. And then as time grew on, I grew to like and love Kenny and Mickey and Scott and Farley. I don't really have a favorite DJ. My dad was my favorite DJ. It's not necessarily a technical thing. It was him pulling records out and making the crowd dance off of one turntable. So it's kind of hard to top the king. You know what I mean? I don't really have a favorite artist because what I've discovered is that the work is more important usually than the artist, because the artist can live and die or gets broke or whatever, but the music always lasts forever. So it's no diss to anybody that does great music like Ted City and Cherie Hicks and Carla Prather. And there's too many to name to say I can't just pick one. It's just not fair. It's like all the records I got back there. Can't pick just one. That's why I got all the records I have. A lot of the stuff that I got was gifted to me. So it's either my dad's old stereo or my aunt's old stereo. But the original one that they got me as a kid was a Fisher Price. And I had that all the way up until I was 12 years old, right? But the first equipment that I bought out of my money that I earned was a Technics turntable. It was a straight arm. And it was a Pioneer with a pitch control, or the other way around, I'm not sure. And a realistic mixer. And I got the whole you dig for $300, and I think I got it from Mel Hammond, because we were all in high school together, Whitney Young. And that's the whole DJ culture went from where I was living in Noble Square straight to high school, straight to Whitney Young. So Mel was one of the cats that helped me get my feet wet in the street. So me and my best friend, Magic, DJ Magic, when I was in the Army, I met him in '87. That's all we used to talk about, because he was a DJ and I was a DJ. And I was already the hot DJ at Air Assault Club in Fort Campbell, Kentucky at that time. This was like '86 to '89, right? So that's all we talked about. Like, man, when we get on the radio, we talked about it, and it manifested right there. And so I got into the Army from '86 to '91. '93 I got on the radio, and it was like Kobe coming from high school into the NBA. That's exactly how it was like. I knew I was going to make it, but I didn't think I was going to be like that at that particular time when I won the contest to be on GCI. Yeah. So they put out a contest at the time for next hot mix DJ to DJ alongside Mike Dunn. And so I put in and I submitted and I won. So at the time we were a hip hop and R&B station, and he was supposed to play the house side, and then I was supposed to play the hip hop and R&B side. I was fine with that, absolutely fine with that. So what had happened was they let him go, and then they put me in the spot, right? So at the time, you know, you're fresh off I'm a bedroom DJ, don't know nobody know me, you know, so you're gonna go do the job because this is what you asked for, right? And I did the job. Yeah, it was gratifying, it was electrifying, it was frightening. I remember being hazed for the first month because nobody know who you are. You know, it's different if I was a Ferris or if I was, it would get down Crosby coming in, everybody's familiar, but I was a fresh off the block bedroom DJ that nobody had heard of before. It just so happens that, you know, God opened that door for me. Yep.
Any way you cut it, grill it, smoke it. You've never seen turkey like this before. Get ready for Just Turkey's famous barbecue turkey ribs and tips. The butter-crusted turkey burger, turkey tacos, legs, salads, wraps, and more. We're serving up healthier choices for the foods you love. Only at Just Turkey. Turkey's all we do. That's why we do it better. Learn more at originalJustTurkey.com.
Hey, baby girl, what's that you eating?
Barbecue turkey ribs.
Turkey ribs? The turkey ain't got no ribs.
Just Turkey does. They have turkey ribs, tips, burgers, even turkey lasagna. They have turkey everything.
You want to trade?
No way. It tastes too good and is way healthier than what you have in that greasy brown bag.
Turkey's healthier?
Yeah, it has less fat and grills to perfection with their special sauce.
Okay, just one bite.
No, they have locations everywhere. Go get your own.
Any way you cut it, grill it, smoke it. You've never seen turkey like this before. Get ready for Just Turkey's famous barbecue turkey ribs and tips. The butter-crusted turkey burger, turkey tacos, legs, salads, wraps, and more. We're serving up healthier choices for the foods you love. Only at Just Turkey. Turkey's all we do. That's why we do it better. Learn more at originalJustTurkey.com.
WBMX. It was actually a tie between WBMX and WLS, because again, that ties into the multi-culti thing where my father and my mother opened ears to everything. So, you know, I loved Led Zeppelin, and I loved the Carpenters, but at the same time, I loved Slave. I love the time and everything and then this also brought into usher of the 12-inch movement as well. So, you know, I'm already a vinyl head. I'm rocking, you know, LPs and 45s, and then the 12-inch came in and I'm like, whoa, you lost your rabid mind. So, you know, records like Roy Ayers' Ubiquity and South Soul Orchestra, you know, and I used to get comic books, right? I used to draw too. I used to get comic books and baseball cards, and I killed all that for vinyl, imports, etc., and Loop Records and JRs and all of them. Goldblatts get all my money. So once I found out how to hook up stereos, you know what I mean, and hook up amps and hook up bigger speakers, and it's just a matter of hooking up stuff. And then all my cousins are in IT. So if I have a question, you know, no problem. And then also too, I'm a creative person, and as a creative person, you have to look past what everybody else is on to keep yourself relevant and to keep yourself a trendsetter. So when the computer started, at first I wasn't digging it, but when somebody showed me, oh, you could do this, this, that, and the third, I'm like, oh, okay, that's different. So and then also too, because I'm a musician, I use the tools that I have as instruments as opposed to just playing records. So I'm looping, I'm filtering, I'm reproducing a whole nother joint right in front of you. Now it's another song, and I can cut that song and put that out if I choose to. So the limitless of creativity for me is sky's the limit. I either go to sleep and wake up and God gives me the idea and I'm in here 4 o'clock in the morning wearing it out. Sometimes there'll be chord or chords stuck in my head, so I had to decipher whether it sounds better down tempo or up tempo, because house is just one slice of music that I do. I also do a lot of steppers, R&B stuff as well. So it's just a matter, but drums, absolutely, kick, snare, and then the bass. And then to me, that dictates where I can plant the chords at. And then if I have to pull out guitars, or I have to put out strings or horns or whatever other elements comes, for me, the track always commands exactly what it needs. So I'll be sitting there and I'll come up with a groove, and then all of a sudden and it just comes. I can't explain it. It's like, I understand R. Kelly's philosophy and Prince's too, is that the music calls itself out. You just have to be there, patient enough to look for the sound and find the pockets to put it in. One thing, everything ain't made for everybody. Just because you like music doesn't necessarily make you a DJ. Just because you have the equipment, or just because you put time in, even in the underground, after 30 years, yeah, you're a DJ, but only there's levels to the DJ thing. There's the hobbies and the homies, and then there's the cliques that do picnics. It is what, and then there's radio DJs, there's internet DJs, there's Twitch DJs. See what I'm saying? It's just this levels to it. I think what shines most than anything is your honesty and your authenticity to the craft, and your consistency. That's what most DJs make a mistake at, is being consistent. You have to be consistent in this game, and then on top of that, there's a balance of life that you go through as an adult. Some people can give all to music, and it's financially comes back to them, and some people, the magic doesn't happen, the dream doesn't happen. So you're just either, I'm wasting my time putting all this money and time in music, or let me go do this corporate job. There's other factors that fall in that: life, family, girl pregnant, got kids, got to take care of grandparents. All these things factor, and you have to weigh what sacrifice you are willing to make to do this thing, because again, not everybody's made for it. Understand the difference between business and personal, especially with social media being as instant as it is. Put your business out there. Don't put your personal stuff out there. We don't want to hear it. If I'm a promoter and I see you 5 out of 6 times you got somebody complain, I'm not looking at you. That's because you're paying too much attention to and not enough to. That's your talking skill. 2, visibility and markability. Key, because at the end you're selling yourself and you are the brand. And you have to be multifaceted. You can't just DJ. You have to make music. You have to, if your talking is your skill, do that. If writing is your skill, do that. But it just can't be just that one thing, because we're not in the vinyl stages of people who have come before us that can do that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you're selling. Harold's Chicken sells chicken. the music industry in its nature was never meant to be fair to the artists in the first place. That was the misconception we all were indoctrinated in, because we only saw the shiny outside of the end product of a Kool and the Gang album, not knowing that we don't know nothing about publishing, we don't know nothing about copyright, we don't know nothing about image, likeness, and name. And they put all of that in a 5,000-page contract, and they'll flip the whole contract over to the bottom page and have you sign it. That's the game. They don't want you to look at that contract, because they don't want you to know that you're signing over your whole life, your publishing and your catalog, to them for as long as they feel like. Now, they got a 20 or 30-year clause when they can revert the masters back to you, like they say. But what I've learned, that people with money don't necessarily pay attention to the rules, especially when they have all your joints. So, but in saying that, if it were a perfect world and businessmen were on the up and up, everybody could eat. Everybody could eat. And the artists will get their masters reverted back to them within 10 years. Not 20. That's ridiculous. Come on now. I'm trying to eat too. You know what I'm saying? So I have people who didn't make the music in charge of my catalog. That's why I understand how Prince was about that. That's why he was such about it. With the whole slave thing. Because once he signed that contract, that $100 million contract, that's when he read the contract and he was like, oh. And he was right. He was a slave. He was a slave to the music business. They owned him. But they don't tell you that part. And they tell you get a lawyer, but you don't know that lawyer works for them too. It's all a game. The lawyers, the managers, the record companies, they were all in cahoots. That was all the game this whole time. So, you know, we're black talented folk. Some of us don't read. Most of us don't pay attention to contracts. We just go doing it, we sign whatever. And it doesn't matter what label it was, if it was Philadelphia International or Motown, they did the same thing. Who owns the publishing?
Any way you cut it, grill it, smoke it. You've never seen turkey like this before. Get ready for Just Turkey's famous barbecue turkey ribs and tips. The butter-crusted turkey burger, turkey tacos, legs, salads, wraps, and more. We're serving up healthier choices for the foods you love. Only at Just Turkey. Turkey's all we do. That's why we do it better. Learn more at originalJustTurkey.com.
Hey, baby girl, what's that you eating?
Barbecue turkey ribs.
Turkey ribs? The turkey ain't got no ribs.
Just turkey does. They have turkey ribs, tips, burgers, even turkey lasagna. They have turkey everything.
You want to trade?
No way. It tastes too good and is way healthier than what you have in that greasy brown bag.
Turkey's healthier?
Yeah, it has less fat and grills to perfection with their special sauce.
Okay, just one bite.
No, they have locations everywhere. Go get your own.
Any way you cut it, grill it, smoke it. You've never seen turkey like this before. Get ready for Just Turkey's famous barbecue turkey ribs and tips. The butter-crusted turkey burger, turkey tacos, legs, salads, wraps, and more. We're serving up healthier choices for the foods you love. Only at Just Turkey. Turkey's all we do. That's why we do it better. Learn more at originalJustTurkey.com.
So what I've come to realize is that once they created this power structure and they had all the talent from wherever we were from, ghetto, wherever, and it was just not just black people. This is everybody who had some type of talent but didn't have anything about the business and didn't have backing, like the mob behind them. You see what I'm saying? So they took advantage of that, and you know, you want to sing, okay, we got this, that, and the third, we're going to pay you this, that, and the third, and most didn't argue. Most didn't argue about that. So that was always the backbone of the financier of all these major record companies. Feel me? So within knowing that, now I can see how it was easily to control, you know, people, folks from the South, Robert Johnson, and all the way up, because you think you're getting a fair deal up until you're about third or fourth album. and you're doing all these tours and whatnot, you're getting that money. But you don't realize that you're not going to get no money ever again until you realize what exactly they took from you. So it's so deep that that's why I'm 90% sure that Prince and Mike, that wasn't no drugs. Because they were two artists that outsmarted the business. You have to remember, Michael Jackson owned half of Sony ATV. Half. He owned the Beatles, Chuck Berry, he owned Little Richard, he owned Sly Stone. 3 of those he gave back. If that ain't gangsta, I don't know what is. They don't want that. They don't want people being fair. They want you against you. And they want to keep it divisive, like politics. They want to keep you divisive. Prince versus Mike. They want to make sure they keep you on two sides because that's twice the money. That's the game. Cause it's just like sports. You know what I mean? Cause it's keeping one side. It's just like how they've been doing black people. The strong versus the weak. The men versus the women. And then the light skin versus the dark skin. Field Negro versus the house Negro. It's make sure they made us divided in some type of way, even though it's, even 50s and 60s we were united because we were all going through that same plight. At that time they were taking more light-skinned folks and putting up in corporate and the finer jobs. Right? Nothing's changed. They put them on TV too. Nothing's changed. They put them in politics too. Nothing's changed. So yeah, with the music thing, because we don't know no better about what's a fair contract, and we don't know nothing about lawyers. We're bursting with all this talent. We're seeing other people that we know are getting on. Of course we're going to do that. But then you have people like Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was a monster. So much a monster, they had to lie about how he died. I'm in this music thing. I understand nature and power. You know what I mean? Music is powerful, like water, like air. Like, I don't know nobody who doesn't have some type of music in their something. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know. That's why I'm in this. I'm samurai warrior with it, for real. You know, when I got on, Crucial Conflict was popping, Do or Die was popping, Twister had gone out and come back in. And I started to notice the lack of promotion that Midwest artists get as opposed to East and West, based on the vinyl that I was getting from either coast, right? So because I think the power of influence and the money and was on the West Coast and the East Coast, was why I think Chicago, and we had Record Row, mind you. You know, we had all these records, Chess and all that was popping, Georgia Tell You. And all of that got eradicated as soon as distribution and shipments and all of that, you know, took over. So I don't know why Chicago got excluded out of that pie. I think maybe it's because the infrastructure was already there. You know what I mean? As far as the records and the promotion and the marketing and all that other stuff, they had their teams ready and all that in Chicago. And I think because Chicago, as far as climate is concerned, is more of a settler's town where it's not really Hollywood. Like New York, stay up all day and all night, right? And then LA is all about the glitz and the glam, and that side of the business kind of does that. So there's an energy to that, and there's an energy to that. But the common thread entity Chicago is that most people who are artists go to East Side, left or right. And then there's nothing left but fans here. So that makes it easy pickings for anybody to come in on tour, and they kill in Chicago. Everybody loves coming to Chicago because we are a serious fan town. If we mess with you, we mess with you hard. I think that overall, when the national scope of how the record business looked at it, the infrastructure was already there, East and West, until the infrastructure fell to the internet. So you see the landslide that happened when they brought that with them. They changed the sound, and they changed the lingo, and they changed the style. And then the kids brought that more onto the pressure to the program directors. And then now we have other influences like YouTube and all these other things that are happening. Now radio is the absolute last for anything because they have to pay attention to what these kids say. So the music it was all one big train that happened all at one time, because then it killed vinyl and then CDs and then MP3s, and that sound that they do, that the kids do, generates more from digital than it does analog. And then once that came in, the whole record business crashed, because now you don't have nobody to you don't have to make no CDs, so there goes distribution, vinyl, artwork, paperwork, shellac, all that dead. Overhead dead. What am I keeping these executives around for? You're not finding me no talent. They went south to find out who's selling without the truck. That's how they got up on cash. And Master P, selling out the trunk. That's South. South has always been an entrepreneurship into themselves, and that's why the movement wasn't no problem. Even though they might have been one from Atlanta, one from Mississippi, one from Tennessee, they all had the same sell out the trunk and built their mixtape fan base from there, and they was getting money before the deal became a thing.
They were supporting each other.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And they all grew up around each other and with each other. And that wasn't like, rap a lot too. It wasn't like there was no funky stuff going around, because we're talking about lots and lots of money. But when it came down to the takeover of the sound of hip hop, the South, and it became the sound of pop. Now you got Ari Lords doing stuff to a trap beat.